everybody, we're back again for Muscle Monday. So for this Monday, we're actually going to move. We've been talking a lot about lower extremity muscles, those kind of things. So what we're going to do today is we're actually going to move up into the shoulder. Specifically, we're going to be talking about the anterior deltoid muscle, which is this muscle kind of right on the front part of your shoulder here. One of the things it does is it'll help to kind of lift the shoulder up, help to kind of internally and externally rotate this. And so it's a muscle that gets affected a lot. It's a smaller portion of a bigger muscle of the deltoid, but it actually gets affected in a number of different ways and can cause some conditions like frozen shoulder and kind of our inability to move the shoulder up, or just stiffness and tightness in our shoulders. It can mimic what's called impingement syndrome, so things that just don't allow that shoulder to move. So if you have what you feel like are tight, stiff shoulders, some of this information in this video might be right up your alley. So the meridian that's associated with the anterior deltoid in Eastern medicine is the gallbladder meridian. And so our gallbladder, what it does is it's kind of this little hollow tube connected to our liver, and it actually helps to store and concentrate our bile. So our bile is super important for helping us to basically break down and absorb fats in the body. And I often kind of refer to the bile kind of like motor oil in a car. It not only does it help to absorb and emulsify our fats so we can absorb and break them down more properly, it also lubricates the digestive tract and the bowels. So it actually helps, basically, when things are going through there, it helps to make sure that they're moving efficiently. And so one of the things that can happen is the bile can get a little bit thicker based on, things that we're eating in our diet, hormonal shifts, things like that. So when we start to see changes in it and it thickens up, that's where we start to get a lot of pain and inflammation and swelling in the gallbladder, is because the bile will get basically less than, kind of like motor oil. If you don't change your oil, it gets thicker and it kind of can clog up how the engine works, and it makes the engine work a lot harder. And so it's really important that we're feeding the gallbladder the right nutrients that it needs, so it doesn't get thick and viscous and those kind of things, because eventually if it continues to get thicker and thicker and more dehydrated and dehydrated, that's where it leads to stones. And then ultimately, if you have stones, there are some things you can do, but oftentimes that's going to lead, if there are big stones in there, to somebody having to have their gallbladder removed. So, and what a lot of people don't realize is that a lot of referred pain from the gallbladder is actually what's creating shoulder pain and immobility and all of that. We oftentimes see patients that come into our office and they've been everywhere. They've had, great PT, they've had chiropractic, they've had, massage therapy and acupuncture and all these different types of things, and they're not getting the desired result with their shoulder. It's still stiff, sore. One of the areas where you can when you'll really feel if there's a gallbladder meridian issue is there's actually kind of right back in here, basically right on the inside of that, on that inside of that shoulder blade. Another thing you can do is you can squeeze the webbing inside of this right hand, and if you actually feel right in that area, if that feels really tender or sore too, that can be an indicator that there's actually some inflammation in the gallbladder meridian, or you need to do some things to kind of support proper bile flow. So now let's talk about things that we can do to kind of help support the gallbladder meridian and support that area. One of the best things that we've actually found for the gallbladder is actually beets. I know, it's like your grandma and your mom always used to tell you, eat your beets, but really, beets and beetroot juice are fantastic nutrient donors. They're actually high in methyl groups, they're high in the amino acid serine, and they just help to feed your gallbladder the nutrient it needs to kind of thin out that whole area. Lemon juice and water is actually another great support for the bile. Squeezing half a lemon into some water and having that in there can provide some nice acidity and cleansing effect to the gallbladder. And then bitter herbs are also very very good. Things like burdock and milk thistle and those kind of things are actually really great in that area. Taurine is a good amino acid that actually can help to help the bile, is necessary for proper bile function. Vitamins A is another great nutrient to kind of help proper bile production. And then, the big thing is actually making sure that we're eating healthy fats. So, definitely getting like your cold pressed oils, fish oils, those kind of things are super, super important. So things like flax, borage, black currant, evening primrose, a lot of those like plant and seed based oils, in their cold pressed forms. When you start to heat oils, they can become oxidized, and that can actually create inflammation in the gallbladder meridian. And then, if you're struggling with some of this, we have these 4 foods that seem to be big triggers for the gallbladder. And so you may need to work with those, but those are wine, cheese, beer, and red meat actually have some effect if our body is having trouble with the gallbladder kind of processing those. So like heavier, rich foods, so a lot of your like cream sauces, those kind of things can be really, really challenging to there. Not saying that though, like red meat and those things are bad, but a fattier, heavier, dense red meat that your body's gonna require more bile and more energy. It's kind of like it's requiring more energy to try to break those things down. So one of the things is good cold processed plant oils can actually be really like a good oil change and support, making sure that we're looking at beets and bitter herbs, dandelion root, milk thistle, burdock, those kind of things can actually have a really good cleansing effect in that area. The amino acid taurine and serine become really, really important. And then, making sure like vitamin A, and then like we said before, all the good sources of fatty acid could be really great. So another thing is that point here, massaging in this area can actually really help kind of support. It's a point that can actually help to kind of flush out the gallbladder a little bit. So a little bit of massage in that area and behind the shoulders can actually go a long way with kind of releasing some of the tension in that area. So those are some of the nutritional things that we can do with that, and that's going to kind of help to open up the shoulders if you have some chronic pain, those kind of things in that area. But that's commonly what we see is a lot of times is unresolved shoulder pains can actually be related to the gallbladder meridian. So hope you guys find this interesting. Keep following us on Mondays for more information on Muscle Mondays, and have a good week.